On behalf of the director of the center, as well as all the university hierarchy, we welcome you to RWESCK New Year Forum. I'll just quickly introduce some senior dignitaries amongst us. We are all important, so some senior dignitaries amongst us. I'll start from the first row before I come to the high table. We have Professor Emmanuel Donko. He's a lecturer of civil engineering, and you see him. He's part of the center. We have Dr. Ayimedu, F.O.K. Ayimedu. Yes, I know most of you have met him. Yes, and you enjoy this class, right? Yes, we also have one of our own from a distance. Yes, Mrs. Abinadu Fieredu Breman from Base Water Resource Commission and also a student of RWESCK. We have Professor Mrs. Isiewua, also a member of the center and also from the Department of Civil Engineering. And then Professor Samson Odo Kwatin, the director of the center and HOD of Civil. And myself, Kwabena Ampon. Thank you. I'll give the microphone to the director of the center to give us the welcome address.
Good morning to you all. We welcome you to this program, the RWESCK New Year Forum. I think this is the first of its kind that we are trying to organize this program. And I think it's going to be annual events, and we are going to make this even a bigger one. You know, the idea behind this is that it's important that we interact with our industry partners, you know, so that they'll be able to present to us what are the challenges, what are the problems of society when it comes to water resources management, when it comes to water supply, access to water services and sanitation challenges. So we've invited our industry partners in Kumasi to come and speak to us, because they are practicing and they are on the ground and they know what is happening. So that based on what they tell us, we in the academia will be able to pick the research aspect of the problems that confront society, so that we can brainstorm as to how best we can solve the societal problems. You know, we have the Sustainable Development Goals, you know, access to water for all by the year 2030. And we are talking about safely managed water supply to the people. We're also looking at access to safely managed sanitation for all the people, I mean, by the year 2030. And we realize that it's not easy to achieve these targets. We still need to do more, you know, to provide access. There are a lot of access challenges, you know, and how do we get around it to be able to improve access to sanitation and access to water supply for our people. When it comes to water resources, flooding is a big issue. Every year we experience flooding in Accra. In the north, we also have annual flooding in the north. When it comes to drainage, there's a huge problem when it comes to drainage in Ghana. You know, we don't have drainage master plan. Nationwide, there's no city now that they are trying to develop a master drainage plan for Ghana, for Greater Accra. And I'm sure they are going to do something similar for Kumasi, Greater Kumasi, master drainage plans. All the other cities in Ghana, we don't have master plans for drainage systems. We don't have master plan for sanitation. We don't have master plan for water services. So as RWESCK is a center to advance knowledge, research, and postgraduate training, you know, in these areas, in water resources management, water supply and sanitation. So I think that it is time that we have in collaboration with industry or such meetings. We have to organize such meetings to be able to get the deeper understanding of the issues confronting society and how best we can solve these problems. So we are here today. Prof. Isiewua is going to talk to us about SDG when it comes to water sanitation. We also have industry partners, when they come, we're going to introduce them. From Water Resources Commission, Ghana, to tell us the problem when it comes to illegal mining, small-scale mining, polluting our river bodies and water quality challenges, and what do we do? And to go from here. When it comes to rural water supply, you're also going to get somebody from Community Water and Sanitation to talk to us about rural water, small towns water supplied, what are the issues, what do we do? And also, we also have experts from sanitation to come to talk to us about solid waste management, liquid waste management, fecal sludge management. What are the issues? On-site sanitation access. What are the issues? What are the things that we have to do to be able to advance access to our people? So on this note, I welcome all of you to this New Year forum. Next year, we are going to make it big. You invite all the media, GTV, Joy, and all the media houses to make it big so that they'll be able to know what we are doing. Tech TV is also present here to cover this program. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Professor Director, thank you for your address. We'll move straight to the presentation. The first person to present is Professor Mrs. Isiewa, and you'll be taking us through challenges and emerging research in hygiene and gender-related issues. So I hope that our notes are ready, our pens are ready, and we are ready to put something down, whilst we open up for questions as well. Thank you.
First of all, colleagues who are here and our dear students, it is a pleasure for me to talk about hygiene. And today, I would like us to look at the perspective, challenges, and emerging research in hygiene and gender-related issues. Forgive me if I don't have a slide presentation, but when I finish, I'm going to give you a reference. I gave a big speech in 2007, which I have here as a reference. And I will give that to, if you Google my name, Esiewa, WDC 207, it will come. It was a conference on West Africa Regional Sanitation and Hygiene Symposium. And I was the keynote speaker for the occasion. And if you're a keynote speaker, it's not just like giving a keynote speech like that. You have to prepare a comprehensive material for the subject. And it was sustainable sanitation and hygiene delivery in the whole of West Africa. And it has a lot of information and material for you. First of all, I want to say that everybody understands hygiene to some extent because of COVID. And good hygiene practices has become a way of life because of COVID-19 pandemic. Hygiene is a key component of sanitation and has helped in the prevention of many diseases worldwide. In fact, if we had actually concentrated on hygiene, many diseases will not affect us. Look at how we are trying to control COVID-19. We have to protect ourselves and others. And I would like to define sanitation, and then I'll go ahead and define hygiene. Sanitation is about the protection of a community from diseases associated with waste. And ever since my childhood, I have seen this as the philosophy. And it has three key components. One is hygiene, and two, solid waste management, and three, liquid waste management. And the liquid waste management, fecal material has been added because the human feces, if you look at the moisture content, it's over 80%. In some cases, sometimes it's 95%. And that is why it has been added. And the fact that most of the human feces in the developed world is transported to waste treatment sites with water. Hygiene is basically the protection of oneself and others from diseases associated with waste in a community. So you are protecting yourself and others from diseases associated with waste. Culturally, in the African context, with particular reference to Ghana, the waste that are produced in the community are managed mainly by women and children. And the waste is always remote from the community. For example, where they dispose of solid waste is separated. And then where they dispose of their fecal material, it's not within the community, but rather they go outside and they construct pit latrines because they know that it is important to separate waste from the community. Now, the key components of hygiene can be divided into two parts: self, personal, and the other one is environmental cleanliness. And then if you group all of them together, we have water and personal hygiene. And then the personal hygiene involves taking good care of the body, having your bath, brushing of your teeth, washing of hands, taking care of the hair, eyes, nose, and ears. And then washing of your personal clothes, including beddings, and then the intake of good drinking water and non-contaminated food. Then the other one is the protection of others. And the others that you are protecting is if you have a communicable disease, you have to ensure that you don't transmit it to other people. And this includes what we are now seeing is COVID. You know you have COVID, so isolate yourself and don't get into people. That is hygiene. You have to practice it. And then sexually transmitted diseases. You have to abstain from sex, or you use condoms. I have here some detailed things which I cannot say it here. Now, the other one, we are still under personal hygiene. You are protecting yourself and others. The other one is washing your hands before cooking and then avoiding group eating. The list can be very tall. Now, when you are in a community, you tend to eat from one bowl. But you know, hepatitis is also in the saliva. There are so many things in the saliva. And then also even kissing. Sometimes you marry somebody and when you kiss that person, he has a bad odor in the mouth. You just take it. Also to protect our eyes and cover. We should protect our eyes from diseases. We need to wash our hands. If your hands are not clean enough, you can transmit diseases from your hand to your eyes. In the same way, if you don't have enough water, you can transmit diseases from yourself to the food you are cooking or you sell. I would like to briefly look at some of the research areas which we need to look at. And you can ask me any question. Now, the key research areas that I want to promote are the food vendors. Now, everybody is selling food. From Kote, as we drove, I saw all kinds of food. But what is the hygienic practices among these women? It's a research that we need to look at. What type of water are they using to cook for us? Where is their source of water? And then we also need to look at the level of pathogens and also toxins that are present in the food we eat. Last week on Friday, I launched a Kenke Barak, and then we looked at aflatoxin levels in the maize we use, and then we were teaching the participants on how to preserve maize to prevent the presence of aflatoxins in the food we are eating. It is important that we look at all this because not long ago, a very key person, important, had eaten pepper sauce. Pepper sauce from one of these things that we buy, kenke and all that. And he had severe diarrhea. In fact, we had to call the mother to come because he thought that that was his end. So we need, it's a very important research area. I asked myself, should we eat fresh pepper with kenke oil? Why can't we just heat it? To kill all these organisms, to protect students and staff and all who come into contact with such a thing. I would like to say that COVID has had a lot of impact on us. And in Europe and the rest, they look at the level of the COVID virus, and they're able to say that this, in wastewater, in human feces, and they're able to say that the level is going up or is going down. I'll recommend it to you. Now you shouldn't be scared. Somebody is looking at another way. You can always do it, because we just sample, and you have to wear protective clothing and to look at, you can look at the gray water that is even coming from the halls of residents, and also the wastewater coming from the halls, to see if the people who are there have COVID. You will see that sometimes it will go down and sometimes it will go up. But how long can this virus stay in the wastewater? We need to do all this and advise engineers on the retention period for waste treatment plants. I would like to say that there are several challenges in the hygienic sector. The first one is the fact that we have bylaws, but we have not been able to enforce them. Some people do not know that they are not supposed to burn waste. This is a key challenge. In fact, I'm beginning to see that in future, hygiene definition will include chemicals. Protecting yourself from chemicals, and then others also. Because when you burn, you pollute the air. And particularly with plastics which have chlorine, you are producing dioxin, and it's going to affect the lungs. Why can't we enforce the sanitation bylaws? Why can't we ensure that people do not do open defecation, that people have toilets in their homes? The next one that is bothering us is gender. The gender I define here is male and female. Africa needs to be very careful. We are copying blindly. Who said that there is a transgender? This global world, if we go and copy blindly, we'll be in serious trouble. And so we should define gender as it is, male and female and children. And we have challenges when it comes to hygienic practices. I have never seen any public toilet which has given consideration for children. There is none for children. They normally associate with the women. But why can't we provide toilet facilities for children? And so they are always afraid to fall into the holes. And what I have also noticed is that we design the same hole, the same squatting hole for both men and female. Can somebody do a research to measure the squatting position of the average woman so that we will have a good squatting seats for women? Even in our urinals, there is a challenge for female. It will interest you to know that we don't even know how to handle our sanitary pads. I read yesterday when I was reading about these hygiene things, about women during their menstrual period in some rural community in the Amazon. What they do is they have a place where you go and actually try and squeeze the blood to come out in the hole, and it is covered. But how are we handling ours? We have been told that the stem cells in the blood is very effective. It's one of the best. I don't know. I mean, that culturally, some of these things are cultural things that we need to handle. That how do we handle all these? For some people, they allow their blood to be collected, but will it be done here? And culturally also, hygienic practices has an impact. When you have a sanitation, you have a toilet, a place to go, should the men also be there? That's why I don't like this transgender thing. In some communities, even in-laws' toilets should not touch yours. These cultural practices that are inhibiting the effectiveness of hygienic practices needs to be addressed. We must also look at key challenges in our time affecting hygiene. The population has increased, and therefore we are doing so many things which are wrong. And there's a lot of political interference, especially during election time. People overlook at hygienic practices. We also have the issue of financial constraint. Hygiene is never promoted. I don't know where hygiene has been budgeted for. Even solid waste, where is it budgeted for? We are always saying sanitation is about toilets, but it's not like that. Sanitation is not only toilets. It includes solid waste management, proper solid waste. So we put in money, and for me, the highest amount of promotion of hygiene should be promoting it in communities. Promote everybody to practice hygiene. The promotion is very important, because if you don't promote, people will not practice it. And then you have to enforce. So enforcement and promotion of hygienic practice is a must, and we must plan for that. We need to look at research into all these areas. The other one that I would like us to look at is the minimum amount of water that we would need to practice hygiene. Men and women are different, and therefore, if you are providing water, you should look at the needs of women, the amount of water they need. Even in prisons and in hospitals, we need to look at the quantity so that we can plan and share our water resources meaningfully. Another thing that I have not talked about is the fact that we need to protect our water resources. And women, we are to be blamed most of the time. That is where we wash our clothes. If you look at the water bodies we have, and in the communities where they don't have pipe-borne water system, they go to the riverside. And this is the same water we are using for cooking. Oh, please, can we do something about it and educate our women on the need not to use the same water in washing and then use the same water in cooking and bathing? We used to do that when we were young. It's the same water. We'll go and then we bath in the water, and then we take some and carry it home. But of course, we let the bad one go, and then we take the one upstream. But somebody has already contaminated it. And these are key things. And then we have not learned to protect our water resources. It is part of hygiene. Protecting your water resources, because that is what you need. You need water to practice hygiene. And therefore, farming along river banks, of course, mining, we need to be educated. Finally, I would want to say that we need to have effective communication channels for hygiene. And I'm happy that the director talked about it. My prayer is that hygienic communication lines will be available, so useful. Now we have the phone in our hand. Which ones? Should we use WhatsApp? Should we use Opera News? This morning, if I were to ask how many of us have gone online, everybody will raise his hand. We have become addicted, and this effective communication is very, very important. I want to pray that by the time you leave here, you would have come up with a system that will look at sanitation holistically and look at hygienic practices and all the things that needs to be done. In fact, at this point in time, I was just looking at your feet, and I was looking at the shoes of the women, and this is something that I wanted to know. You don't just copy blindly. You know, your feet is exposed, and I saw that the roads were not tarred. It's dusty. What are the organisms that can affect your feet? Sometimes you see that you have feet rot. And also the men, how long should you wear your socks? Sometimes you should look at it. They are micro growing, so you will advise us on what to do. I would like to end here because I know that you would always ask questions, and that will give me more time. There is so much to talk about hygiene and protecting the community from diseases. A healthy people makes a healthy nation. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Abna Dufie-Redu-Breman from the Water Resources Commission, and I'm presenting on the challenges, perspectives, and emerging research fronts in water resources management towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. So the presentation will follow this outline. I'll give a brief introduction about the Water Resources Commission, the Sustainable Development Goal 6, the target and indicator. We'll talk a little about integrated water resources management and how we are measuring the progress in implementing IWRM in Ghana, challenges, prospects, emerging research fronts, and then we'll conclude. So the Water Resources Commission was set up by Act 522 of Parliament in 1996 as the body responsible for water resources management in Ghana. And we are specifically to regulate and manage our country's water resources and coordinate government policies in relation to them. Currently, there are 3 legislative instruments that we use in managing our water resources in Ghana. That is the LI 1692, the Water Use Regulation, Drilling License and Groundwater Development, and the Dam Safety Regulation. We also have 2 policies, the Ghana Water Policy of 2007, which is currently under review, and we also have the Buffer Zone Policy of 2012. This goal is a build on the Millennium Development Goals, which initially focused on water supply and sanitation, but now the SDG considers a more holistic approach to water management. The SDG indicator 6.5.1, that is degree of integrated water resources management implementation, measures the progress towards the target 6.5, which states that by the year 2030, we should implement integrated water resources management at all levels, and it includes transboundary cooperation as well. This target supports the equitable and efficient use of water resources, which is essential for socioeconomic development as well as environmental sustainability. And the actions to achieve these targets directly underpin other water-related targets within the SDG 6. The Water Resources Commission has adopted a strategy of an integrated cross-sectorial catchment area approach to water resources management in Ghana, and that is the Integrated Water Resources Management. And the Global Water Partnership in the year 2000 defines integrated water resources management as a process that promotes the coordinated development and management of water, forest, and land resources in order to maximize economic and social welfare in a balanced way without compromising the sustainability of ecosystems. There are 3 key factors in integrated water resources management. That is the land, water, and the people. When we have land and water in its natural state, they are okay, they are able to protect and replenish themselves. But when people come in, that is where the problem comes in. So interaction among these factors determine the environmental quality of a river basin. Water resources management in Ghana has been devolved to the lowest appropriate level, that is the basin level, through the setting up of river basin offices and basin boards. Currently, we have 7 basin offices and boards that are functioning. That is the Densu, White Volta, Ankobra, Pra, Tano, Deyi, and the Black Volta. In measuring the progress of IWRM, we use the country survey instrument as an official tool that is used in reporting on the SDG indicator 6.5.1. And this tool is designed to measure the progress that has been made in implementing IWRM. And it allows countries to identify barriers and enablers to furthering IWRM, and also to be used as inputs for planning and working towards the target 6.5. The country survey instrument is organized in 4 elements. 1, enabling environment of policies, laws, and plans. 2, institutional and participation frameworks, cross-sectorial coordination, private sector, and other stakeholder participation, and gender objectives. 3, management instruments for informed decisions in decision-making covering monitoring, pollution control, water-related ecosystems and disasters, data and information sharing. And 4, budgeting and financing, which includes infrastructure, recurring costs, and also revenue raising. The UN initiated an integrated monitoring system, and the first monitoring that Ghana went through was in 2017. The second one was in 2020. And the overall implementation status that Ghana achieved in 2017 is a medium-low level. And the current one, that is the monitoring that took place in the year 2020, Ghana achieved a medium-high rating. And that score, the medium-high score, means that there's a capacity to implement elements of integrated water resources management is generally adequate, and elements are generally being implemented under long-term programs. Our target for the country is to get to a very high rating where everything is in place and our water resources are protected sustainably. Challenges in achieving the SDGs and also for implementing the integrated water resources management. The major constraints that we are facing is the little or absence of enforcement of relevant regulations, and that includes the bylaws of the district assemblies as well. And the funds to support IWRM activities are inadequate. Public awareness needs to be sustained, and this requires a lot of financial resources. And establishing cost-effective and sustained data collection and monitoring is also a challenge. Capacity building within the lowest level of decision-making, that is the district assemblies, has become very limited, and it's not easy to maintain because officers of district assemblies are transferred often. We have people going on retirement, people being transferred, and all sorts of. So when you educate people in this district, by the time you come back, those people have moved to another place, and it becomes a challenge. There's also the rapid urban and industrial growth that is resulting in encroachments in buffer regions of our water bodies and also heavy pollution of our water bodies. And also ensuring sustainable funding for effective implementation of the IWRM plans at the national and the basin level has also been a challenge. The increase in illegal small-scale mining activities is also a big challenge. And also the intensification of agriculture, especially around our water bodies, has also been a big challenge. There is room to improve the existing intra and intersector wide collaboration and coordination among the different subsectors and related sectors. And also there's a need to build on established institutional collaboration for sustained data collection and monitoring. Emerging research fronts in water resources management. The first is risk assessments and risk management with regard to water quality. And then develop innovative techniques for preventing pollution. Understand physical, chemical, and microbial contaminant states and transport in our water bodies. And also understand and predict the frequency and the cause of severe weather conditions that is causing droughts and floods. Understand recent increases in the damages that are caused from the floods and droughts. And also understanding global change and the hydraulic impact on our water resources. The next is the assessment of the availability and volume of our groundwater resources. And also understanding assimilation capacity of the environment or the water and the time of recovery following contamination. When we see that the water bodies are contaminated, we don't know the carrying capacity of that particular water body and how long it will take for the water to clean itself. So there's the need to do a research in that sector. And also improve manipulation of water quality and quantity parameters to maintain and enhance aquatic habitats. To understand interrelationship between aquatic and terrestrial ecosystems to support watershed management. And improve equity in existing water management laws. There's also need to do research in grey water, that is recycling domestic wastewater to supplement water for irrigation and also industrial use. And there's also the research potential of transboundary cooperation. And the last is biogas generation to reduce domestic fecal contamination of our water bodies. In conclusion, Ghana has made significant gains with respect to water resources management. However, there still remain major challenges or barriers that should be overcome towards the progress of IWRM and also achieving the SDGs. The required action to address these challenges have been identified and well documented for implementation. What is required now is focused attention, substantial work, and immense effort from all stakeholders and actors involved in water resources, in the management of water resources of the country. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for the presentation. The challenges, my question is about the challenges. We have seen the challenges quite well. But my question is, what are some of the measures that the Commission is putting in place to face these challenges? Because I saw capacity building as a challenge. And I think that this center, for example, we have a lot of graduates in the field, water resource and also water sanitation. So are there measures for future employment also so that the capacity building can increase and other challenges too? So I'd like to know, and all the challenges.
So the capacity building that I talked about was at the lowest level of decision making. That was at the district assemblies. Every district assembly has a bylaw. And in the bylaws, they also have laws that protects the water resources within their districts. So if these bylaws are enforced, it means it will go a long way in protecting our water bodies. Over the years, we have done trainings for district assemblies, but it hasn't been sustainable. So what we have put in place is to still continue to do this awareness creation and education, capacity building at the district level, but then it requires financial assistance. So we have also put in place measures to get funding and collaboration with other stakeholders to be able to continue these awareness programs.
Thank you. But I think that the concern is to know if there's the future, the students on campus at WRC.
That one, yes, there is that prospect, but I cannot sit here and decide. That has to be decided at the national level. So there is that prospect for more people, because at the moment we are even understaffed. So we need more people to be able to achieve some of these targets that have been set.
Thank you. Yes. Any question? So please, you pray for clearance, so I cannot give them clearance and we can approach you.
Please, I want to find out whether in your organization you have a research department, and this researchable topics you have recommended for them to carry out.
Okay. Unfortunately, Water Resources Commission doesn't have a research department. So what we try to do, because management is at the basin level, each basin at the beginning of every year puts together a program or a plan for the year. So the target is that each basin takes on some of these things, some of these research aspects, and undertake them at the various basins. But we don't have a research unit in place.
Thank you. Maybe just to add, you also have funding to support people who are interested in these topics.
Not at the moment.
Okay, before a question,
If you go to the list of challenges, the first page, I think challenge number 4, you mentioned something like, cost-effective measures for data collection and monitoring, right?
Yes.
So my question is this: what data are you guys collecting? How are you storing that data? And what exactly are you monitoring?
Okay. Currently, we do nationwide water quality monitoring. And I say cost effective because we pay for this monitoring. We pay for the testing of the samples that we collect. So if there was a way to cut down that cost, I think we'll be able to cover more a nationwide area, because it's not every water body in Ghana that we monitor for the quality. But it would have been good if we are able to cover every water body in Ghana to know its state within every year. Because in every year we do 2 water quality monitoring, the nationwide monitoring. One in the dry season, one in the wet season. But at the basin levels, we try to do some sort of water quality monitoring in collaboration with other institutions, because we don't have the capacity to do some of these monitoring. So we liaise with maybe Ghana Water or Water Research. They are the ones that are responsible for our nationwide water resources monitoring. And there's also the need to monitor our groundwater volumes and levels of contamination as well. Because currently the data that we have is only for northern Ghana. In the southern Ghana, we don't have quantitative data on the volumes of groundwater resources that we have. There's a need to also look at even contamination of our groundwater resources, which at the moment we haven't started. Sorry? We have departments. So this particular, the groundwater is in the groundwater department. And then we have a water quality department as well.
Thank you. But for your answer, it is strange that you said water research is helping you in Accra, yet you don't have data in the southern sector. Isn't it strange?
On groundwater.
Yes, they are still in the southern sector, so they should be able to help you. Rather, they have that in the northern sector, you are in the southern sector.
Okay. That the one in the northern sector was a sponsored program. So that's the challenge. When we are looking for sponsorship to do a nationwide groundwater monitoring so that we know what we have in Ghana. But what we had in the north was sponsored by Danida.
Thank you for your presentation. I have a comment question. I don't really think transferring workers should be a hindrance to your work. If only things are put in place for record keeping. Because if you are there today and you are supposed to go and your records are well kept, when I come in place, I should be able to know what you've done and how far you've gone for me to also continue. And secondly, you make mention of groundwater and regulation. What are actually the measures that are put in place? Is it that anybody can take the groundwater, but you'll be monitoring how it goes, or you have also things put in place for those who are supposed to take for the groundwater and those who are not supposed to? Because, in my place, I see people almost every time, the mobile people, they are taking for groundwater and nobody actually tells them anything. Thank you.
Okay. So the groundwater regulation and development is for the drillers, those who drill boreholes. They are supposed to get licenses from the Water Resources Commission. So without a license, you are not supposed to drill. So it's one of the requirements. When you want a government contract and you don't have a license from the commission, you will not be given that contract. So it is a way to monitor who is drilling at where, the volumes that people are using for what purposes, so that we'll be able to plan for other users as well. Because if I know that you have drilled a borehole here and you are using this much amount of water, I will not advise another user to dig a borehole close to you if you are using it for the same purpose or a purpose that you require a lot more volume of water.
Oh, it's a good answer. Yes.
Well, thank you very much for the presentation that you have done. It is a very good one. And it's quite educative. But I just have a very little concern about the very last point that you were trying to make. Why? Because today, everybody, anywhere, anybody at all, stands up in your house, and then you put up, or you drill a well, a borehole. That borehole, the Water Resources Commission is not in the know, right? And a lot of this is going on at the moment, right? And it's like things are getting out of control, right? All these things that we are doing, the adverse effect is there, by the way, because land subsidies can actually also take place because we're taking a lot of water from the ground, right? Now, my question, or my concern is, what steps, what are the basic steps that the resources, the Water Resources Commission, right, which has been set up by Act, right? What are the very basics that the steps that they are taking so that they can actually stop this practice, so that when a single borehole is going to be drilled somewhere, the Water Resources Commission will be in the loop. What are the basic steps?
Thank you very much, Prof. We started by doing a nationwide education on the need to engage licensed drillers and also for drillers to get licenses. But we found out that that wasn't sustainable. So now we have moved to the district assemblies. Usually some of these drilling companies sort of register at the various district assemblies. So they have data on every drilling company within their district. So that is where we are targeting. And then we need to enhance our education programs so that everybody will know when you are engaging a driller, you should know that the driller is licensed or not and the person is doing the right thing for you. We had incidences when big water users have come to us where people have drilled boreholes for them. I don't know whether it was in the wet season or not, but as high as about 6 boreholes and there was no yield. So it's the education that needs to go on well so that the user will know who to engage for their water use needs. So if you know that you need a licensed driller, and this is what the driller is required to give you so that you know the yield of your borehole, the quality and everything, you are rest assured that you are getting quality for the money that you have paid for your borehole. And also the Water Resources Commission will also have a database of all boreholes and drillers that are within a particular district and then the nation as a whole.
Thank you for your presentation. Last debate in Accra, the Deputy Secretary of Water Resources Commission was there. And all these challenges lead to integrated them. Transboundary water corporations, this issue, transboundary water corporations. So these are some of the things that researchers can think about. How do we solve the transboundary issue? What analytical instrument we need to analyze the water being and then as a follow-up on what our professor said, drilling. See, there are a lot of business potential. Can you slow down with the challenge? There are a lot of business potential in there. As students, researchers, you can bring business for ourselves. If you finish and Water Resources Commission is not employing you, you can go to Water Resources Commission with your business proposal that can do ABC for you. I think we'll share the slide with you. There are a lot of all these challenges and all that. You can go to Water Resources Commission. Our business idea can help you solve ABC. It will cost just 10,000 Ghana cedis or 20,000 cedis. I can do it for you. I hope you're getting it. So when you finish and there's no job, don't just sit down. But things like this drilling, I think that we need, since we are looking at digital stuff, I think if we can create a database such that whoever is going to drill borehole can go to the family to register, everything is captured in the database. The water quality analysis, once it's done, is also captured. So you have the GPS of the borehole, the water quality parameters, everything key into a software. So if you drill 1,000 boreholes in a year, now if you drill 3,000, 4,000 in a year, within 12 to 10 years, you have a lot of information. You can generate maps. Once you have the G or GPS coordinates, you can generate maps and upload that. So I was in last year, February, I was in Uganda, and I was amazed the kind of thing that Uganda, the kind of thing that they're doing to manage water resources. They have a map of the whole country showing water quality distribution. If they take manganese, iron, whatever parameter, we can give you a map with a quantum map of the water quality, showing where the quality is above the temperature, the value, or where it is. So when you're going to draw, right from the beginning, you know the water quality you expect in that area. I think they have piloted this in the North Project in Ghana, but it's a project. When the project is completed, just name the country. If you can take it up as a business to support Water Resources Commission to get maps of water quality nations, water, the borehole yield. Once you capture the yield, you can also plot the yield map. See where the yield is low, where it is high. So that when they're going to grow water. So those in water resources, I think this is a challenge to you. What do you do to take this up? I think the data collection is also a big establishment point for cost-effective data collection. These days, we are talking about instrumentation. Instruments, digital instruments, so that you can mount your instrument somewhere and then get everything on your computer, real-time data. You can come with a business idea, okay, I can help you collect your water quality. Even water quality data, there's a new modern way of measuring water quality using AI or using what? That's the one you get, like if you want to monitor water quality using software, using sensors, you can monitor water quality. So if you have 10, take a whole basin, a whole river in the basin, and you have 10 stations and you're monitoring the water quality with what digital, with what sensors and digital technologies. You have everything on your computer. You can sell it to them and water resources will pay you for the data you're collecting. You can calculate with laboratory measurement. So you're using sensors and you cross-check it with laboratory measurement for your accuracy and order. This is the level we are. Data acquisition management is a big issue in meeting the end. So I guess also there's a comment on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, because of time, I'll take the last set of questions. Please let me see if I have that question. Okay, only 1 and 2. Then move on to the next session.
My question is very important. Looking at the challenges, these are the main problems found. So what are the source of funding the water resource commission? And also about the education on the lines. Because I remember that once I saw an education on GTV, the local television GTV, the national one, the GTV. But then my question is, not many people patronize those television stations. So maybe bigger television where people watch TV3 and other stuff, the education could still be extended, but all boils down to the fund. So my question is, what are the sources of funds for the water commission?
Let's take it.
We already plans to establish another offices for the governments and the Madam, my question is also on you said the IWE have implemented using the CSI. Now, my question is, which institution specifically is responsible for collecting data collected? And then, how frequent are these data collected? And then, what specific indicators do they measure?
Okay, I'll start from your question. The CSI was initiated by the UN. And like I said, it came in, the first monitoring year was 2017. And it is done through engaging a consultant to measure how far we have implemented the Water Resources Commission has implemented the IWRM in relation to the SDGs. Please, is it? It's based on 4 elements. I listed some 4 elements. It's based on those 4 elements that the assessment is done. Okay, and on the plans for other offices, yes. Over the years, it all comes back to still funding, but we have been trying to establish more offices so that we'll be able to cover the entire country. Nevertheless, where there is no basin office, an office that is close to that particular basin takes care of whatever is happening within that basin. So we don't have physical offices there at the moment, but we are doing monitoring in all those areas. And the source of funding, the major one is GOG, Government of Ghana. We also have IGF, because we charge people for water use permits and also for drilling license. So that is our IGF. And we also depend on donor funding as well. We've been funded previously by the EU, by DANIDA, CEDA, and other international bodies. So we also depend on international funding as well. And sometimes we collaborate with other institutions who have the funds, institutions, whether it's government or NGO, who have the funds to undertake a specific project.
Okay.
Mr. Jima.
You talk about, but let's ascend, we also talk about.
My question is, so now Ghana is trying to adopt the water safety plan approach, which is a proactive method to preventing pollution of water bodies. During your presentation, the research areas, I did not see your water safety plan. Are you implementing it? If you are, what have you done so far?
Okay. There was a mention of prevention of pollution. Sorry, prevention of pollution, and that is a research front that we need to look at, where, like Prof was saying, we have instruments in place where they give us real-time data that this particular water body has reached its threshold and is getting polluted, and then we move in. At the moment, we don't have that. We have some monitoring stations, but they are not for monitoring water quality. They are used to measure flow and quantity of the water, and that is done in collaboration with the Hydrological Services Department. But it would be good to have such a system in place where we'll be able to get real-time data on the level of quality of water at every given time.
Thank you very much. I'd like to contribute to the discussion, and specifically on the country survey that is used to assess the performance of the country as regards the sustainable development goals. During the 2020 stakeholder consultations on the performance of Ghana in respect of the SDP survival agreement, one of the critical things that was identified was private sector participation. Realized that there's missing in the discussions. So, Water Resources Commission and partners that met identified that and trying to map out the real stakeholders and what their interests are. I think it's one of the areas that the BRC is trying to focus on, so as to see the potential of making resources to be able to implement some of the activities that they intend to carry on. So I think that is one of the key areas that the DRC is currently looking on in consultation with various partners to be able to get that aspect, and then see how private sector can participate in the issues of IWR.
Finally, yes.
Yes, good morning, folks. I want to ask if you permit.
Please.
Not really because I'm not answering the questions, but I'm a member of the Water Resources Commission.
Yes.
And I believe you answered all the questions for me. There was this question about the individuals, the self-supply boreholes, individual. In 2020, Cabinet directed the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources to have a look at how to manage this, because they are also contributing to the overall water population. And so there has been an engagement between community water and the Water Resources Commission. likely there may be a legislation to look at the water safety part of the individuals who are or community. We started looking at data on how many of those boreholes we have. It's surprising we have more than 120,000 individuals, and I wonder how that's going to be done. But cabinet insisted that it has to be done. And so that conversation is going on. I also want to, as Professor Odronkwa said, I believe any research can receive funding if it is really very difficult. And so what the center should do is to take their time, looking at all that she has indicated, very catchy research subjects, and then it could be passed to the commission. I think it's really very important. I'm sure that other commissions, something like that, we can talk about it and see where we can find a solution. But notwithstanding the funding, so I believe when most people get there is no fund, get frustrated out if there's no fund, but if you look at for this particular area, what you are going to look for can be attractive when it's completed. You can also engage in the investors. Once it's very attractive, we then can deal with problems. I'm sure that the commission will embrace it and could be a sort of income to whoever in that research. So I believe you are doing my job.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam. We'll be going for a coffee break, but before that, we had some dignitaries joining us, so I'll quickly introduce them and then we'll go. We have a representative from the Waste Management Department of Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, Mr. Esige, Engineer Esige. We also have the Regional Director for the Regional Environmental Health and Sanitation Department, that is Mr. Don Awantaw. And finally, we have the CEO of Community Water and Sanitation Agency, Engineer Siaki. They will take their turns after the coffee break. We'll give ourselves 20 minutes. If you go outside, the table is set. Let's have some few, a coffee, and come back. Thank you. So we'll continue. Please, class reps, ask some people to come. Class reps, ask some people to come. Okay, we'll move to our next presentation. Our next presentation is on the next presentation is on challenges and emerging risks. Engineer Siaki Kiwalano, Chief Executive Officer on Community Water and Sanitation Agency. Let's welcome him.
have done so far, and then what is remaining. Yeah, so we look at the work center about the performance, the research and how we can collaborate. Then, yeah, so in this sector, we have water company in there. We also have community water and sanitation agency. Now that community give water program, and community water and sanitation provide small communities and small towns. We also have water resources commission that have been developed by then we have water research institutions. KWSD is also one of them. We also have the Metropolitan Municipal Legislature. We also provide study practice. And we also have non-governmental organizations. They also provide practice. What these things are the and I want to narrow down the presentation so that you know how numerous facilities where we go look for resources, implement projects, and how much the past 4 years we have been solved before, and so we have added new money. And so let me just take let's be contract. Every strategy will be a sector how to survive. We also conduct research. That's our engagement. And then we implement our plans. We have to take the problem. We have to conduct the research and implement our plans. Conduct the research and practice. We have our plans at all. We also have we also monitor and evaluate other sector players, how they are performing. We facilitate and regulate. There's a regulated part of our mandate. We also prescribe standards. The standards for design of water systems is prescribed by community organizations. So we have to be talking to the center to see whether what is being called is what the one here in the ground, something else. And then you come back to question of the then you know the standard, then then we also, so the two new additions that we have added is previously community water examination was not managing water systems that because of the reforms, now we are managing, we are implementing, and then we are also managing others. And the last one is that the CWSA is the government designated asset holder of all water supplies. So every asset that has been by is held in trust by CWSA. Now let's look at what we have gone through so far. You know, water resources commission, we talk about how to support everyone is scared and worried about how to support. When we see the rivers, the others are saying, then we are worried about what we should also be worried about is what is happening to the ground. Because this sector, almost 95% of the sources that we buy come from ground. 95%. So some 27,000 communities. That's a lot. And this number of communities, they constitute about close to 20 million population of that. So you look at what is the source of our water and you look at the challenges that we have, then we have to focus on water resources. And there is some kind of going on between the CWSA water resources to start monitoring the water resources. Now, out of these 95%, close to 30% will have water quality challenges. And in general, they are engage very high and some very low. And all of these are the challenges that we have in the sector. We also have 1,033 pipe systems. And mind you, now we're communicating with the water systems are like we manage just 89 pipe systems. We have 1,033 pipe systems. The data that we have, only 25% of this, and this one is about 250 are on. These are the out of the 1,033, only 250 good by uninterrupted power supply from. So the remaining, you don't know what from. 85% that's my parents, African that are not included. We have 586. 430, sometimes in some communities, when it's time for funerals, the program, program is after the funeral, they are not. 430 is sometimes the downtime is more than a day. So you can see this kind of almost scattered, but they are more than 6,000. And one more kind of cost 14,000. Where you have more than 6,000 of this in this state abandoned. And one of them was 1,000. And imagine how so many people. We have tried some technology. This, the water quality design, this is the package plant. It's not a power line. How many people have I ever read this? It's all this. And we have about 500 of this. And this is how you install it.
How many are the
And you can have and currently we built one package plant about 1.1 million. So we have 500 multiplied in how much? That's 90. So we have all of these aircraft, all of that on point. And so water quality is all the figures are talked about, including that we also have over 32,000 almost apartments. When you add the 1,033 it will be this kind of scenario. As at 2019, the coverage for rural is like 62.29%. And you see how we have left. We see from 2007, there is a consistent rise and somewhere when there was a reduction from 65% to 62%, and now it's starting really together. So this is the body, and we are targeting 100% by 2030. And so how we do solve this? New systems, water quality services, some other clubs. When you see this is a summary of what I'm talking about. See how it is. Right? First of all, just get the bucket, and you see the men really see the men but I agree the assumptions that anytime you buy a price system, building a small town, assumption is that everybody is not. It's not true. Because this kind of thing around to that these people have hundreds of them. So in communities where our design guidelines suggested that there is full of irrigation, so this can give you an idea of what really is important. Now, as students, what I mean, what areas there are some immediately there are resources for it. So those of you who are interested, there are some you can talk about. Now the first one is what I call education. I'll talk about research or some travel and work. So what do you want? What is the subject area? So we want to do that research. I know that alright, I want to manage it and then also the but the key point is that when there is research, the outcomes must be implemented. It must always be implemented. It's not just it just carry out research and you have to develop prototype and we have to test it and you have to show that yes, in theory what you said will happen has really happened in here. So that's the first one. The second one is energy. We have noted that energy is short, so one of the reasons why most of the power systems are not sustainable. Currently, we have one unit, we have the light systems, only the energy is used something more than 40 million volts. We have left around 5 million. Once we make a system to manage it, we also pick the light energies, and then we make sure that we make it. So if we have 40 million trees, what we do about energy is a major expenditure item when it comes to so we are looking at solar energy. So research to solar energy is application. It's also very important. There is another dimension that we are looking at, not only investing or the habits, but optimizing the water system. If we have only 25% of the water system, 75% are needed. How do we use engineering and science to optimize?
What you do is you have factor outcomes. What you do is to
we have started this already. How we can open doors for many others. We want to look at how we can model the skills, the water system complexity, because there are certain water systems technically you cannot, if you are not trained in a particular subject, you cannot manage it. So we are looking at the water system complexity. We are also looking at the people who are there, the motivation that we have. And we are looking at observing when you are doing this, you have to perform. We have noted non-revenue water is high. But now I think something around 50%. And some information, we are doing something wrong with that, something around 50%. But I remember in 17, the first data we collected, some of the communities were about 70%. So it means that when you produce water, after the differences, you use 70 ingredients. And these doesn't make sense. So how do we do this? I sat in an interview to listen to what our new scientists will tell us how to manage non-revenue. And one of them suggested that, okay, let's employ more people. And their job is working along the lines that we need. When they see some work area, then they draw your attention. Step 2, that is not how to do with technology. So in Accra, for instance, if people have to play like 1 million people working at home, where is the line? Where is the solution? I can't see it. And so that is not a good solution. That was offered by because he doesn't have a solution. because it's starting point. Now, what we want to do is this. We are thinking that it's possible that we can look at tracking devices. We can look at micro robots. And these micro robots are inserted into the driver. And then they can tell me, for instance, in the management of distribution pipelines, the rules are important. When you connect a pipeline, you can designate the rule, you can take the GPS location of that rule and put it into losses. And so your system understands that it's not created by one system. So if I create another node and I put it in my system, and then a new node is created by another person, that node will not be my system. So if we can find the robot, which is very sharp, and introduce a robot into a system, and the robot can go around and determine all the nodes around, the robot will be able to send a message that is node from one of our processes was illegal connection. Yes, so that's it. But the reason why this is clean is that it is crowded. Anybody who wants to buy this will get this problem. So we want to do this, and this is the only way we can actually solve the problem of non-renewable. Because this is what is killing the water industry. We also want to look at automation. It is that when we design our system, the reservoir is like 5 kilometers away, and you have somebody who must run there and look at the valve to make sure that pumping is stopped. So if you don't have if the person is very angry with the system, it will not go. And so how do we correct the reservoir, the pumping station, the water system in such a way that they can talk to themselves? This is what we want to do. And we want to do this kind of automation. These are the areas that we are looking at. It doesn't mean that we have only 5. These are the areas. And so for each of them, it's possible that they can be kind of example of several of research. We have started, this is one of them. This is a computerized system. And for this system, it has been connected the source, the reservoir, and to my office in Accra. So I can sit in Accra and tell you how much water they are pumping, whether there's a problem or there's a problem. And so this is something, these systems are very expensive. I told you one is that one. And so it is possible to do this. Then, as now, we have started discussions with the university, the center, to make sure, yes, this is possible. Now, to conclude, we are ready. There's a very high, as I already said, just last week we started talking to some of our partners about some of the states where they are ready to get one of them. Said they are interested in some of these. So what we want to do is we sign an MOU with the center, and so we will go back. So it's expired. Go back to that and review, go into the details, and see which of the area that we all can do possible for our interest and for the interest of the center and that. So these are the things that I'm ready.
Thank you, Engineer. Yes. The floor is once again open. Do you have any question, contribution? Or you have a topic in mind? Yes.
Thank you, Engineer, for your submission. My question is, I saw a picture with people struggling for water. I think specifically in the sea region. I would like to know if they pay something small for repair of the bad pipes or something like that. Is there anything on this? That's all.
That's not a question. Yes, so yes, it's from this room. Right now, that's what I'm asking. It's not like it is. Sorry, so it's only ability to use for the cost of which is part of it. So it's not like it is. And in 2017, the target was of the movement, I remember it was much higher than in central so we have
Oh, yeah, this is for me. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, let's go. The string will also. Thank you, not sure. But then if I check the internet now, it be like good though. It is green.
And so, because we want to deal with the quality of service, we need to inject
1, 2, 3.
That was the reason why that
Where the controls? Where the controls they? Yeah. Yeah.
And most of these
yes. The first one where they be stop stream. I check. It say the streaming has stopped on the Facebook. Yeah. My phone self I did try and they go off. Where the why they stream on the system self, the streaming go off. The streaming has ended. Your live video has ended. Okay.
They give you a lot of resource of and every time they are being figured out, they say you have to follow on it. And so it's not a challenge, but it's something that they have to understand. And that is how very sophisticated our community. There is one community where the gentleman will go and he has knowledge in how to manipulate the water meter. So if you know to manipulate it in such a way that it reads lower than expected. And these are all part of the quality. So as a manager or as an engineer, we have to go about understand what will happen. Some of the illegal machines are done very around the midnight of 1 o'clock. I know I have my so sometimes I think before you know you need to give me feedback. And then you tell you, oh, yeah, why is something around now? So those are the challenges. If you have to just manage water as an engineer, you wouldn't have a problem. I think the training is so there should be some other which are not engineering skills, which you have to apply. And of course, communication is also important. Community relationships is also important. You have to deal with there are people who are very, very hardcore, how to deal with this. Okay? And to be honest, there are people you think are not illegal communications. Yes. They will connect part of the system. You can see that when you open out, you see the leader is reading and you are having meetings. But about 75% of the water they use is connected area. So you have to go through all of that. Okay, you have to prove about the front of it, prove about the water meter. And then you want them to open the WC and then actually go the WC has been connected area. So these are some of the challenges that as electrical water use price, it's not going to help you solve. And so if you are just thinking that you're engineering, then you will have a chance. You really have to produce. And you realize that about 50% of that is because you can't find where it is. And they have been always from engineers that most of the losses are losses. It's not. If Accra is having 50% losses and they are all losses, they are all like that. Accra will do that. You know how much water is.
So this is where we are streaming from, and we are using a software called OBS to stream, and we do some live.
Thank you for your presentation.
What is that vision?
Rural water provision. And then initially when we started, we having this.
So it's capturing whatever the camera guys do, but it's a live video, which is on Facebook and also on YouTube.
We're able to recover more than 90%. What we realized was that the vendors who were selling the water, they were declaring. But when we introduced the ATMs,
this guy should use the camera.
We will load the amount that they want to purchase into it. Everything has been calculated. So let's say 20 liters for 10 pesos that we calculated. You don't want to cheat the customer. And we also don't want the customer to cheat the company.
The thing is, when you get the framing of the person, you leave the camera, unless the camera will be shaking.
90%. So I would suggest this is still where they will employ this technology. It will help in solving their land revenue.
Yes, we have already Uganda. We started events in work on smart house, and we really had smart meters where you can go from a remote source. We started that somewhere in 2017. We are doing a lot of that, but that is the water which is coming to the satellite. And where so what I'm talking about is tracking, making sure that you understand what is going on in the pipelines. As for what comes out of the policies, can be measured. It's a matter of if you use manual meters, you can. So we are employing a lot of smart meters. A lot of them. We are hoping by 2024, all our systems will have.
So I have to
and for the standby,
quickly go and come back.
We have several of them.
To go, then go down, go take it to they be going for lunch break now.
We are supposed to.
Then we go for the lunch break, and after we are done, we are finished.
Everybody's supposed to have what
You understand? So what we are going to do next is there's supposed to be a report like that to me. But before we write the report, you have to be here before the program starts so that you get series of the event, how it's going before you can put the report together. You understand? So there is A lady there, Christine, from one of our people, she's doing the report. So after she will brief us. Yes. Okay. So that is it. So let's go there.
Please, on this same slide, my question is, for now, the mix now tells us that as source, we have 6% of the even at the hospital, our 76%. Now, looking at what is scripture, see the WSAP to ensure that water quality is not compromised in such situations. And then in this period of COVID, what measure in place to ensure that in these circumstances, people will not get
Yes, let me take the last one. I hope you heard of free water. We are providing free water to everybody, including yourself. Okay. Yeah, so free water is supposed to provide support to the vulnerable. The last is very well, the one we are implementing now is for those who need the lifeline. The lifeline instruments are people who are supposed to be those who are using lifeline. And normally in Ghana, when you become user, I don't know why it's like that. When you become user, you get more. Okay, it's like that. Right? Those who are extremely rich, they use a lot, they use 120 or more. Sometimes people use 200 in a month. I don't know what they use. Then those who are within the lifeline, they use maximum. That is a whole household. A household of, let's say, about 10. They may use about 5 kilometers per month. So that commission, the president has requested that we implement that commission out to much. Likely, it might be less. It's likely that it will be that probably increase, but it will be lifeline. Okay, or let me put it this way: those who do not use water, not using enough. But the other challenge with the rural sector is that some people use just 2 legs. Just imagine the average for somebody against about 4 liters per person. It's unbelievable. You know, but there's also something wrong with that. We have to go back and talk to people to use it out. Right? Yes, otherwise, I believe all of you understand that if you want to have sometimes, so that is also one. Now, it used to be that we were concentrating on testing at the source, and testing is very expensive. All we do now is to implement Uski and Wazik, and we have started that in 2017. We are managing 156 5 systems in Ghana, and all of these 5 systems have water safety plans. And the water safety plan determines, monitor the source, the supply control after the work. Of course, there is a study that I was part of in the northern part of the municipality, where almost 70% of the water sources, even though they were the quality also be at the source, in the house, a very compromised. Okay, so this is the only intervention I was so we are implementing the policy. We also have the opportunity to get about how to trade here. Here in the we have a collaboration with them, and we train our staff in policy planning. I think last year or last 2 years. Last year. And we are hoping to follow up, see exactly what is needed. I talk about when our page said to us, the outcome has been implemented, yes, you have the training here. But what is the reality? They have the plans, are they implemented? And And so that is the next phase of what we are doing concerning water safety.
Thank you. My name is Levi Nampe. I'm from Liberia. My attention has been drawn to WASH sub-sector performance. The first one said groundwater constitutes about 95% of the water supplies to 27,362 homes. This shows that there's a lot of pressure on the groundwater resources. So, in terms of sustainable development, Part C directive is doing to prepare for the problem of groundwater depletion. Is there any research in this where you have artificial recharge zones? That's the first question. Secondly, you said that lots of boreholes they are not working currently. So have you found out, have you made some research to know what is the reason? Thank you.
Okay, well, let me take the second one first. The more homes that have been abandoned, I said more than 6,000 of them have been abandoned. Yeah, naturally, the parameters that provide this are very easy to detect. So when you go to a community and you drill a borehole and then you are using your signs to tell them, oh, I want to pass a mineral, it's good to that and all that. You tell you that it's not used. And usually in the late 80s, we were using that analogy. We always complain about it. Oh, the water is not tasting well, but the iron inside, the manganese and all of those things, minerals and all that. But now, everything is going to be in excess as the challenge. Okay. Yes, iron is good, but in excess is bad. When you see all of us here, we provide water supply to rural communities. They are poor people. We provide, we know the quality is bad. We say the issues. Iron is there, manganese is there, and these substances, when you use it, when it is in water and you use it to wash your white clothes, it does what? Yes, we all know that. But we explain to them that it's not their knowledge. And when we see them in the marketplace, we look at them and say they are. That is the truth. Now the communities understand that this iron in water in excess, manganese in water in excess is bad. So they won't use it. So they will not use it. Okay. And so we have to do something about it. There are areas where we have acid and chloride in water. It's like rainwater. You know, rainwater is very nice. Yes, acid and chloride in water is very nice. So in those communities, it's difficult for you to be commissioned for. I've tried to be commissioned it, and MP will go and commission it. They will go to the MP's house and say, don't go. If you don't allow us to use it, we will not go. And so you call us and say, oh, please allow them to use it. We will not allow them to commission. And they will go and put a pump on it and they start using it. So those are the places where we have issues. And we have tried. It used to be also that science, some people have said, okay, when you drill a ball today and the quality is okay, it will be okay forever. But it's not true. I've drilled a number of balls. Right from the beginning, the data shows is fine. You go forward and you realize after some 3 months, the quality has great. So that kind of chemistry is also right. So we are doing a lot of monitoring these days. Yes. The first question about climate change. Climate change is affecting most of our sources. But in Ghana, it's not only the groundwater which is stressed. It is surface water is also stressed, isn't it? Yes. Most of our surface sources are getting, when we started the monitoring of those illegal money. The river shows some signs of that now it is getting validated. Right? So it's not only the amount. We have noted that from the two places that we have, a number of the groundwater table is going down. Okay. But it is not enough for us to justify or to make conclusions. And that is why we are having this conversation. So those of you who want to check, who want to go into those full-scale research, so that we can find out if it's going down at this rate, when is it going to be such a way that all of these goals we have to reach. In actual fact, in 2017, we have replaced, if I'm not divided it right, we have replaced almost 150 balls already because of the what? Increasing yield, right? So it's a problem. But the data has not been, the research data that we produce based on the kind of maturity or the development process has not been proven.
You have a question? Okay. Last session. Any question on this apart from that? So,
Yes, I believe that when you are learning the they will take you through conventional way of treating water supply. There is also another unconventional way where you don't see this normal aeration, evaporation, sedimentation, filtration, storage, then you pump. You don't go to that. Most of the package plants, they behave like flat bottles. They are constructed in such a way that the treatment is done under pressure and within seconds. So whereas you have the capacity when you are designing conventional solutions, the retention time can be 2 hours or 1.5 hours or 1 hour, where you allow settling all the chemical reactions to take place, and after 1 hour, you get your clean water. In package plant design, you needed few minutes or if I won't say seconds for the removal of all these contaminants. So you can't afford the package plant to have, let's say, 100 instead of 1 hour detention. So detention time is when you release the water and when the water gets out. Okay, so it's an area that we are also we continue to the center to start researching it. We will get involved ourselves. Once it is done, we can save Ghana a lot of money. Now, 2017 to current, we have invested 35 million states in 84 plants. Only 34. And some of the package plants are very small. The tank I showed is very small. Yeah, this is one of the, I would say it's one of the medium ones. Some are really very large. The design of these systems are quite different. They are not only using water media to remove the contaminants, they are also highly computerized. They are highly computerized. And so the data on the water quality can be transmitted to a remote source where you can catch. We have some of them. There is one part that we have a control center at in Accra, where we connected all of them to that center where you can easily you can delay and even stop any of the plans. You can even start them. If there's a problem, you should give your information and you can call whoever is not paying attention to go and solve it. Yeah, so we have 34 of that. But the ones not working, we have more than 500. And my worry is that if we can spend 35 million on just that 500 are making. And so we can find a way, and it's not only the 500. We have more to talk. And so it's okay for us to start thinking about how do we deal with this because it's getting out. So the opportunity is not that difficult to be done. The opportunity is there. On 500, which has not been done. Is that okay? Yes, so we can make it. Yeah. Yes, go ahead. Yeah, the other one is because I explained that the package plan concept is a new way of designing product systems. And so, depending on the media you are using, okay, you can achieve this in seconds. You may also achieve it in minutes. Right? Yeah, you have to design the media. Some of the media are from volcanic origin, some are from carbon, some are from some other concept. So depending on the media, we have to pay attention to how the media is developed. Okay. Once you get the media right, and then you also need technology to link what the media is doing, the pressure which is in the person, and how to transmit that knowledge, what is happening in the media to an external center. That's it. And it's possible to have it. It's not something that one person can do. You need a civil engineer to determine what media to use. You need a mechanical engineer to determine what a vessel should be. And you need somebody with an electronic background to communicate all of it, to connect all of this together. I'll show you why this vessel works. Yeah, you said it. This vessel is made up of fiberglass. And when you subject fiberglass to a certain level of pressure, it flies. Okay, and fiberglass is the cheapest you can use. You can use ATP material, you can also use metals, okay. So, depending on where you are selling seed, I have got this. I said, you are and there has been a struggle between the soils, well bound, and how to do that. They said this is fiberglass. This plant is used in Europe for cleaning swimming pools. Yes, that's the quality. I said they won't like it. Right, so we can design a system using that, or we can use ATP material. Because you have to determine the pressure which will subject the internal water limits. So if you know the pressure, because mind you, the same pressure that is going to be there, the pressure loss is so small, in such a way that once the water leaves, you don't need another pump again to transport it to the reservoir. That is why it's like this. And we have many of these that we have to replace. Alright, I know that some of you might have this. You can look at this possible, and anybody who wants to do this,
Thank you. Yes, I know there are more questions, but I'm going to move on. Thank you for your presentation. Now to the house, the class. There are a lot of challenges, and I think what I want to comment here is
the water, the data water meters. Yeah, data. How you calculate this data? That's where the data technology I mentioned is like that's where I want you to take a challenge. You don't need to teach computer program in this program. This is what I can do to computer program or software. And then the software behind this digital analytics. It's coming up. So suppose of thousands of these data meters. What we call the water ATM, water data water meters. Suppose of thousands of these data water meters. If you have to try to get the calculation, you might immediately. So this is why you can take up the challenge and then more. Because if you're programmable logic control as a program, it's a machine language. There are so many things you can learn on your own. So when I finish with this complete program from this water program, your father did task us. I mean, when we are working on groups from this water, that I'm expecting data skills or data technology to look at all your water data needs. Then automation, this plan, little plans. They use this PLC and machine program the pressure, program whatever. And you need these skills to be able to manage these systems. So I'm challenging you to learn more, but then also instrumentation. So a lot of use pressure, data pressure, water detect, they're all instruments. When it comes to instrumentation, it's also in the same water resources. So I think that an area that we want to if you want knowledge in something, the right of research to that. So my time for research, try a lot of things. But do your PhD or MSc research in using data mechanics, how we can. By the time you finish your tests, so you don't have to get it or get it. You can do it right now. You build your capacity of your database. It's on the table. How to market yourself. So that when you have the competence and knowledge to go out there to so I think that's what I would say.
Thank you, Professor Baraka. We'll invite the next speaker. The next speaker is in the person of Mr. Engineer Sensibi. Yes, he will take us through, he's representing the Director of Waste Management. Yes. Yes, he did his master's, then I have to go back. Yes, the CEO also did his master's here, CEO of Community Water, did his master's here, and he's also kindly about defending his PhD as well here. That's why he has a heart for caring waste and rest. In your sense, he also did his MSc here, and his topic won an award. And I think he wrote a proposal, and the care is implementing his thesis. Maybe you speak to that. So I'll invite him to come and speak on challenges and emerging research in solid waste. In solid waste, yes, in solid waste. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, my name is asking as rightly you see that the presentation is being done by post and I'm studying post. But I think the task is very easy. It's like I've come to the hospital, so I come to tell you the challenge that we have. And then you will have it for us. Okay. Yeah, so basically, I put the issue of service management, okay. So after the presentation session, I'll let you know how to correct solid waste as it's integrated process. And also, the thing that we do, trying to educate, and also and then how we the waste class and integrated, and our practical class. then the challenges that we face in executing this job. So for such this collection, we have the formal sector where we have engaged the private sector to collect the waste for us, and then also find a way to take some fees from the self-producers. We also have other people who call it the sector, mostly the life cycles, who are also engaged in this collection. So the formal sector is basically the whole to the online collection, the person for engaging not those services. And then also there's a online collection data which plays a dramatic point in the city where people are wasting and then they are supposed to pay something. The north row is a place down to charge. And then you have the program system, so that charge that you pay as you go. And then you have the guys out. These guys are, we actually didn't plan for them. They were born out of the system. God is not like this, not like the access to creation. And then this guys are smart out. And then it's not a providing service. We need the service, therefore we have to get them involved, we started to get done. I can understand and provide the the issue here is that some of the challenges that I'm thinking about, which of course is some of our when we get the machinery plan, there's an issue of these guys have to take over the work that the former sector is doing. Where for me as a city, I'm trying to for that we are depending on the former sector also this connection because anything can happen. And these guys are done, they can be a right job. This thing that I'm saying is not happening. These guys are outside the one where we can do it. But in the case where people are willing to pay the service of these guys, unfortunately they won't, and they don't care. So how do we combine the service of the former sector and the former sector to ensure that this service is very sustainable? And then for this to be the first contract now also the national level, there's a contract for and aside that, here we also has placed advantage points in the language. This is supposed to solve a problem. You can see that in the sea, people have to be when you learn about the you don't find a place to land. So there's something less than place, but other things. Before using the national sea. So somebody decided to come or use it. And the later and then also in the city, in the center of these are very true. So as some systems that we need to have about 100 years to clean this so education is a common thing for the exam process but somebody also has another thing that dedicated on how to support this. Because the challenge of course, once you use the program which is implemented as a model you will have to try to speak and down like this at least that are not a process. And therefore, dedicated. And this is a challenge. There are some people who try to use the rules and they bring it to the city where we have plans. I want to bring there is that you have to like this together or that place together. And he decided to do this for home because he's trying to spread the perimeter to that side. Therefore, if we assess this every day, make sure that you are the campaign on oversight practices. And it must also know how important the practices for everybody in this country. Therefore, sometimes you need to be from the planning and preparation to go out there and do that. Where enforcement was approached by those issues, talk about enforcement. And as I said, it's a matter of the and also that way is an issue that we get to go out there to make sure that people have their program.
I'm very better to be
You know the government funds.
Yeah. Yo, check the data game. Current network game.
I mean, they record for that.
That's you do me for the funeral and your dicks this thing.
Dicks what? You need to
You did record time here. So for move on.
and for change of the name. Okay, the new for
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Okay. So yeah, they try to do them again. So we can just record them. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. The one left for. Who's the last person? Who's the last person?
How you gonna data no finish?
I don't want step go. So I they go back to the office and so I go pick the desktop and left the laptop. So if you close that then erase them. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, they record.
So like how many people left? They must be used. They close up with that.
After the stream again, should go off.
Oh boy. Answer. Oh God, you may thank me for 4 researches. The ultimate winner game. We were today last week.
Wow. Agenda 2063. Thing of stream.
You know she say disconnected. I don't know how. Yeah, you do what you want to do. Especially that is cool. Especially for one. Especially one of them. Yeah. Why is it that?
You let people in walk out.
That's true. The public noise is not putting
Thank you. Please, you can have your seats. We'll finally. Yes, because of that, please, I want to see you by hand. Thank you. We want to take another set of questions in the middle. Thank you very much. So, yes, it's very important to these are more that difficult to do because we are right now when it's not. But as I said, we have tried to keep them accountable and specific items. So we expect that we cannot also be at all these at all times. But as researchers, maybe late these price and however, this is something that is affordable. That is something sound. But we expect that money to inform us. Sometimes it's I'm sort of seeing it, but once the number it's easy to have 30%. So we have a little all the price and the contracts of the owners and all that. So once we get it and we are one person to our side.
My first question. My first question is, there are some people who don't send the Holy Spirit to the worship God. They tend to bend them. So what the minister is doing about that? And also, we had the opportunity to go to the land use and project, and we realized that the waste is sent there and the gas comes out, and we don't have the tank. Like there's no measure to have the gas that comes from the waste line. And also, we have this big truck that's also septic tank waste, and they just dispose it at the site. We interacted with them and they go there. So what are the measures that the families put in place to control of the because when the waste is sent there, we learn that gas is coming that you can actually have family, they tap them. But here we realize that we're not doing that. And also those with the solid septic tank waste, they just have a dump it there, opening. And we notice that one. So what is the principal assembly also doing concerning that one? Thank you.
I think I'll try and answer the question. Maybe the last one. But also, the issue of open and married something that I read about. But you see, solid waste generation, as I said, because of where people are the least opportunity. Sometimes the distance from their work to that side is not quite long. And some people should sign up for the Lord's work blessing. When the contract is coming, some blessing. Probably also more to get sorry. They find other ways to and that is against that case. And in that case, that's the amount of that has the right to make decisions. So once you are caught, who do it? It goes to it's against the law. And the issue of gas. You know, already managing the facility in the landfill site, financing the management is an issue. There's will be a problem because of landfill management. Like we have to make sure that the process is not impacted. If they over, and also make sure that the leaching flows right and all that. So we have several instances so interesting. And then we go and then have cost of financial assistance. So again, it's easier way to go about it. That's why we look at the successful our meeting also comes down. I hope that we are successful now. Converting that business and also getting our families to it. Because we try to do this before. So yes, we will have all our and the parents. So these are things that probably make it allow the parents as I need as a child.
Just a quick one. In regards to the Aboboya OPT pensions, I've seen that with Aboboya guys, it
take the money once we take the solid waste from you. And I don't know with the pictures, it looks like you take it monthly. So I wanted to know if you've also tried taking it daily like the Ogoya. So you can compete with the Ogoya. Because sometimes it's difficult to maybe pay in a month, then it comes out the bill is maybe 100 Ghana or 50 Ghana. But the Ogoya guy will take 5 cents, 4 cents per day, which the people will pay and will not pay it that much. So I don't know if you try that too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I already mentioned that the service of each life cycles were one of the systems. So it's like how has to like especially classes, you see that the station and some of the things that we have to power. So the more when you are having this station, you go to the everywhere and you just sign up for it. You know you say it very well. But why are something like what you try to do for that? Okay, these guys are doing this. But what do do this? This is what how from that side. You need to get on practice. But therefore, now transport to the mobile to the side. So that we cut them off from using our means and you're very key in the meaning. So we are still looking at it. Because genuinely, some of us cannot access certificates. That's why what the way is now. I think the why, as you said, people sometimes everything happening down. And that is why we have to get our success. So if you cannot afford to pay for access, you have to go on here on that side. But then the God was a first class and second class of the test. So which class would have any other?
Thank you. Please, I just want to know how many of you interested. I don't want to know that people interested in asking questions. I want to know the people that select.
Please, madam, let me see that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.
Our question should be brief.
Yes. That's a good one. Thanks for the presentation. I want to know which group of waste companies, they seem to be organized, but I want to find out if we have organized them well, giving them training so that they don't become a nuisance. Once it's starting out, some of them collect them, they become them as cases. Something that's coming up. So I don't like what steps taking at least to train them professionally in their dealings with this issue. Thanks.
Okay. Please also know that solid waste collection constitutes in the defense of 2015. And therefore, there is a need to reduce optimization and your presentation. The challenge that you do, I did see waste collection as a challenge in this. So I want to know if it's a challenge. What I said is solid waste collection constitutes 60 to 80% of the total solid waste collection management costs, and therefore there is a need to reduce this cost through route optimization. And per your presentation, I didn't see solid waste collection as a challenge to KM. So I want to know if solid waste collection is a challenge or not. And if it's a challenge, is KM going to allow a research in that area by optimizing the routes for the collection? One Zoom line. I don't know. All the municipal and chief assemblies, they give all their contract to Zoom line. And in fact, the house-to-house connection is very poor. Very, very poor. Sometimes 2, 3 weeks, even a month, they will not come for it. And the thing that we all know is also a disease. So I want to ask whether is it only Zoom Lion that can do the job, or the assembly has an interest in Zoom Lion's contract? Because competition brings efficiency. If you allow other competitors to come in, their services will be improved. But the Zoom Lion has taken over every waste management. I don't know. That is my point. I want to find out whether Zoom Lion are the only company that are able to collect our waste. And if yes, why? And why are you not bringing other competitors into this management? Thank you.
Thank you for explaining that. It's as part of it, it's lifted community as an example. Yes, complete. I told the Ghana government because of financial conditions, it's an education section policy to supplement the budgetary communications. I do think it also get some revenue to support such a way. And then on sinners recently studying the laws and the access and the willingness of people to pay for waste collection and marketing. And then the legal reasons people do not fast accept. So what steps can bring to let's get the trust of the people so that, and it's not as if people are not just going from willing to pay. They are, but they just don't ask assembly to use the money efficiently or as it's supposed to be used. The transport of the fridges or these electronics or this place now, we know our policy. This is a huge problem in the country. Are you going from the government Peter to pay for?
Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Reminded me of my days doing my MSc exams. So when you ask about the role of these bicycles, but when I see them, I think you have. So I mentioned that yes, see, even aside dumping in this the point of something, some of them were using these tricycles to collect waste at a certain point in time. And then they need the same tricycle to transport bread. So as a starting point, that is why we gave them the specific color code that any apoya that has the color orange in
massive. It's only meant for. So, and I agree that it is difficult, following them to make sure that they are not dumping at the right place and all that. But as you know, in our city, there are very aggressive systems to war one, there's no name is very and have CCTV cameras for. So the only way out is somebody seeing that tricycle rider camping is and holding the person or getting the person at the end somehow. Apart from that, it's very difficult. We cannot have our eyes everywhere. So that is for that. Somebody also asked about route optimization. Yeah, so with that also I've mentioned that the solid waste collection is being done by private sector, formal and informal. So more like and somebody also has, pushed them that by now they are doing to be actually more of a check responsibility in that regard. Then the issue of inline. That's a very difficult one. Yes, because solid waste management, collection, disposal, I've got about chain. It's mainly about finance. However, as we have mentioned earlier, the issues of willingness it's not like water and electricity. That's why people don't catch your sense like not sense. But solid waste because if you decide to take risk, that is so the issue is that tonight, and that's why assembly also had so it's not sustainable. So decidedly, the people should not pay for the service that they are getting. But again, the companies are going down. And so now it's coming up because probably has external financial support. And it makes it difficult to get food to the people. So that is one of the reasons maybe why you find all over the place. Sometimes, and that is why I mentioned institutional arrangements as a challenge because from where we have come from, where we said that everybody is paying something for waste collection. Look, when you go to the communal sites, we have the pay-as-you-throw going on there, where the contractors are taking money for the service. Now, as we speak, the companies now is more or less taking over a number of the areas of these contractors because they have a national contract where they can provide the service and find a way to get the money from the central government. So we more or less going back somehow in terms of solid waste, sustainable financing for solid waste management services. So, well, and in terms of capacity, I believe they have the capacity in terms of equipment and personnel than the existing companies, and therefore, they're able to do it somehow. I agree with you. But if we can come up with solutions like converting the waste, and anybody at all anywhere can have a local ways of converting the waste into something valuable that can be that can have an added value for it to be moved on to the next level. Then I think we can have a competition. The other question had to do with the issues of class. I think from where we have come now, a lot of the services is private sector. And the revenue collection is by the private sector. The assembly does not collect revenue for solid waste collection or anything of the sort. I think that's one of the reasons. Because some of us sitting at the assembly, sometimes if we have to collect the revenues, because somehow the assembly is headed by a politician, they would want to have achievements that are visible for people to see. But if you collect waste at the end of the 4-year term, you cannot say that I collected 200 tons of waste. Nobody will see that. You need to put up a structure that is visible. So therefore, it becomes difficult for us to find more resources. And the issue of we having to transport e-waste to Accra disregarding matter players and so that is also an issue. But for me, we are here in Kumasi, so we want to find people to deal with our problems. And once that is done, I can't take the care of Christmas tissues. Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll invite the next director, Mr. Don Awantabu, the regional director of mental health sanitation department. You'll be speaking on challenges and emerging research in sanitation.
So you audio sound no. Oh, so I don't. Oh my dear, you know me here. I get you.
Maybe they use us in our division.
What's a for when you call record because you're not sound.
I never found a phone and record the sound. So they took on my recording.
And then Bishop, here, agent, and yes, a presentation.
Environmental sanitation, as I said, have to do with control and prevention factors in the environment that give diseases to mankind. And so that has to do with our communities, living our communities, ensuring clean water, ensuring the environment is clean so that people don't get sick. And so those of you who, at the end of the day, will join us, we will want you and with your background as engineers to be able to join us. We call you with this designated as public health engineers. Okay, so when you join the environmental sector, you are called environmental public health engineers, and your responsibilities include designing tools and systems or developing policies and procedures that can prevent other people from getting sick. And we also employ engineering skills to solve organic issues related to public health. And public health, as I mentioned, how to do with preventing people from getting sick. So we also do enforce bylaws and bring statutory regulations concerning the national law. We have in the federal public health law, which so waste management in the assembly system and field specifically, what we do or what they do is waste management, collection like Osel was talking about, collection of solid waste, centrally disposed of. They also deal with liquid waste like toilets, that's especially that industrial waste, healthcare waste, and hazardous waste. We also deal with stormwater drainage, of the public waste, oral beds, other public places. Now, we want to go through this that we do at assembly level so that you yourself look at it and look at what area that you can think of researching into. So in the public health function, control of health of vectors of public health importance, and environmental sanitation education enforcement of laws, disposal of the dead, and controlling of animals. We collaborate with EPA to look at the monitoring and enforcement of environmental sanitation standards. Standards enforcement include the premises, monitoring of environmental services, like services, oil services, waste collection container services, septic and care conditions, monitoring the activities, disposal and sanitation, distribution, production, pollution control, hospital sanitation. Then we have food hygiene and safety measures at the markets, all food establishment, livestock and poultry, fresh vegetable production, water quality control. Then we also do what is public work, that is disposal of public waste and the management of public stream, public education of so some of the challenges that have to do with our operation include inadequate outreach. All of the reports we need that we gather all the evidence centers at one time, testing out on the body. Presently, we are following
Oh, okay. It's fixed now.
Waste collection is not adequately and the population is growing. Financing of sanitary activities, sanitation activities is serious challenge in the country.
No, we have reserve battery. We can check out more. Our batteries now we know.
You know what it's
Oh, Charlie, it's taking our time. I'm wondering if I'm coming here and your presenting as a river. I'm crossing a Jimmy number. Yo. What's in the office? I'm at Katanga. Now, Media Center. Okay, maybe okay, all right. Okay, yeah.
To build knowledge in the house, people are still talking what is the reason? What type of knowledge can continue to replace the bucket as I said? Yes, because the bucket that shaking was not so simple to install, so simple to manage, and okay, because there was space, disposal was not that much high. But today, we cannot use bucket that shaking, so as a ban of it. So what they say that what can we do to get such a simple to install well-managed college to replace that type of system so that a lot of people can have toilets in the house and stay present because it is difficult the type of toilet that can be so difficult to manage, difficult to install and high cost and because of what maybe sometimes these are some reasons people have difficulty installing this toilets or using toilets in the house. So we are going to have a simpler form of toilets which can be easily taken by citizens of the houses have bigger stock value chain. That's not my attractive. You look at that. We have toilets, the leaders of being made to bring us for our patient. Okay. Some other places, small ball toilet system.
Yeah, the MTN data is a problem. It comes and it goes, it comes and it goes.
Yeah. But recently, it was good, but recently, MTN's network has been down.
Yeah. I have more than 15 gig.
And when browsing, it's like you have 1 megabyte.
Is that?
When browsing.
Yes, it's already 1 megabyte. Yes.
So, can we look at how they function? And then we function well. Somebody from aquaculture came to do some research in one of the ponds and ended up evidence to grow fishes in that pond. So, as of now, fish is growing in that pond. Then we also have some the pond estates, like the Balazo estates. South Michelle, those communities, so we have this old type of universities that are no more functioning. Now we look at how we can look at them, see how we can make them very functioning. Because they are there, it's like it's a good testing. We just allow them to go back and look at what naturally is possible in dysfunction and advice for the survival. Then with the housing, with sanitation, we got healthy housing. So that healthy housing can be at the end of your program. Normally you come together to do what your master plan and it just for academic because I can't go to communities to form master plan for assemblies. As a matter, so our assemblies will be so happy that the students come with them that they want to develop a master plan for the district, and then they give it for the students that develop the time planning for them. And we look at those things. Then the other major area has to do that with the institutional arrangement for sanitation in the Ghana. The big question is, why is sanitation a major challenge? There's so many requirements in the NCC that is a major challenge facing Ghanaians. All of the Ghanaian process and all of sanitation. Okay, and it is true. Sanitation are better for all that. So I'm going to look at why this look at the institutional arrangement together. So you look at professionalism, what are the technical competencies, the skills, the qualification of people.
If you want camera on, until we told me to say until I say interactive, until then so never slide. Slide no can be about audience. This video no footage we want to make of old footage. But at the same time, no, we trying to cry, try now. TV any editor na a complete video.
One thing is that I'm looking at how we redesign our cemeteries. We are more, making better than just burying and building and homes. All these are some of the things that are useful areas. There are so many areas. And our people are saying that sanitation, the sanitation sector is that in an old area. When we look at this assembly system, we call it campus annual that is the core assembly program. Okay. And so you look at as a mentioned that I think this is the core assembly. Why is it not neglected? And so it is there. So it means that become an area that, as I said, for human capital is a challenge. For a long time, it's never been employing graduates. So we see district managers, regional managers, as people who are come from just basic education, like work for the local 6 months, 2-year training. They are the managers of that. So you don't have graduates managing the sanitation system to the district community. Or and if it gets to the national level, it's not like another field. Okay, get to our national level, you cannot have the requisite is there just as we have with it's not like that. So it's a great area. Even though it's old, it's still great. Needing a lot of research, need a lot of experience to come well prepared. So look at that. Let's bring down that.
Thank you, Lord. Yes. Okay, so we take 3 questions at a time.
Thank you for your presentation. It's interesting. My question is, we mentioned institutional arrangement issues, capacity gaps, and all that. You know, and you are saying that we still need every case the personnel, usually the gap is the work. But I know we have about 10,000 environmental health officers, about 10,000 nationwide. They are doing the enforcement. But when you come to the practical parts, so they are not there like community workers doing to employ the masters, the small towns, what is the MMT is also doing to attract practical those who are practical programs and years that manage giving you sort of this give us everything.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. In your presentation, you made mention of Ghana. Yes, Ghana is doing very well in Ghana, but DPNA is also coming to understand the Greater Command Metropolitan Standard Taxation, which is a sponsored program by the World Bank. Yes. So when it comes to implementation in command, the environmental department will play a very instrumental role. And then I also recommend that you speak for the challenges that they encountered in Accra, so that when they come to command,
in short, it's one young until so we can come down into yet means or Cassa. As I come near until the National Shikia. Until we are afraid of no I got shot in the and to die, said the one and because the more you want to take the lady, then we are losing the shots. Because we try to actually
So I would like you to shed more light
why law enforcement is a challenge, because it looks like throughout the implementation we had, law enforcement is a challenge throughout most of the institutions. Thank you.
Thank you. So, you object, please. Next much. Thank you very much. First question about the attraction of technical people to this sector. As I mentioned that the policy that we've been running for years, we only the system was that we only employed schools of handling graduates. Okay, so there was no place for graduates from anywhere. So after some time, we managed to create and expand the public health engineer position that now we are employing. Then we have another category called the environmental analysts. So the engineers are going to the public health engineer division, and the other non-engineers are going to the analyst division. So we started deploying, but then normally we have to get clearance from the national level. So we realized that about 5 years ago, the president went to School of Banyan and they made noise. So last year, they gave clearance for them to employ over 1,000 graduates from the School of Banyan and not other graduates from other universities. So, but then the head of services managed to swap to graduates. So, but then the graduate that is swapping by the analyst services, not engineers. Okay, so we have begun to employ graduates, technical people, and with time, because we need to develop our municipalities, because we are beginning to create waste management sectors with various municipalities. And now we have waste management department, college, the biostatistics, metropolitan assembly. Now we are expanding it to all the municipalities and that will create more engineers to but now I think you here when I'm looking at Thank you. You have a lot of questions to do. Yes. The next part of three. The next change again.
Thank you, sir. I wanted to find out why, in your generation, political influence is not part of the challenge. Because I've been in the sector, you mentioned implementation of bylaws. And if you look at all this, it seems to be a political influence that is inhibiting that. Why the challenge?
You might be like, I cannot hear it topic.
Thank you very much. Please, I want to ask, aside human waste, in terms of vehicle management, do you have any other management waste in mind? Like, for instance, animal waste, do we have something like that in managing animal waste? I want to know if there is a management like that, how is it done?
So spoke about unification. You spoke about unification and how it's a very big challenge in Ghana. Unification, and you spoke about CLTS that as a country we are using. And I know that the CLTS works better in the rural communities where they are able to come up with their own languages. Sometimes they are very cost-effective ones. But then in the towns like Marseille and other areas, there seems to be a challenge using CLTS because the kind of language that the CLTS promotes may not suit them. So what is the journey or your department doing in the towns? Sometimes we have the issue with living space where the people may be willing to put out language, but they don't have the space to live together in their towns. What is the and nationally, we have a policy like CLTS where people something similar to the town that the council will use. Thank you. Thank you. So I don't want to.
Political influence is part of the challenge. It's not everything that we can mention. It's part. Political influence is there. It's one of the major challenges that we have. It's especially in Mali. I think so. As I mentioned, the chiefs are there, the politicians are there, so it's part of the major challenge. We are talking about asking animal waste management. That question. Animal waste, but in our urban environment, we don't actually permit large-scale animal production. So the few animals that are bred in the town, but when they collect waste, they add it to the municipal waste and bring it to the landfill. So we don't have a special package for managing it. It's added to the municipal waste. A lot of them being taken to farm like this vegetable gardens. So that is what happens. But we don't actually have special management. CLTS. Urban CLTS. Yes. What we are benefiting from Ghana to increase our household dollars, besides that, I came there for some past 5-6 years, and we're working with what we call WhatsApp, weather examination for the airport points, and you get this NGO here, that was helping us to increase the number of household dollars in our communities. That's the project that is going to increase the household dollars in our city. So that it has a different strategy of reaching out to the houses to make them to our toilet. It's not like the CLCS now.
Okay, let's give Mr. Dawson a clap. I know we have a lot of questions, but when we close, we can also engage our speakers. Before the chairperson gives his closing remarks, I think that one thing I also observed is that it comes down to the fact that you people need to push yourself into position of policy where you can make the influence. Look at KMA, everybody, Water Research Commission, they are all talking about funding. So each some of you tomorrow are politicians. Each some of you tomorrow are in the position you can support the sector. Other than that, we will continue to do the research and complain. So some of you should start making the decisions where you can influence policy. Right? I'll hand over to the chairperson to give his closing remarks.
I would like to thank the speakers making time to come here. But this is the first of the kind. idea came about 2-3 years ago, but this year, our manager, for this water there, gets out of the right. And we can't do madness. See how. So, okay, go ahead and start the plan. That's why we see people have the idea that this was and really bad. I think that we successful have learned a lot. And I think this is the kind of place you get when you attend conferences where you get presentation, really the issues, and this is like a small 1 day for 1 day movement. Yeah. So I thank the attenders for taking time to share with us the challenges towards us. And just imagine that there are lots of things, and so many things that we need to research into now. The problems are there. I'm wondering is sustainable by the year 2030. I'm sure I'm not sure whether we will achieve all the time. It's difficult. 2030 is just 9 years along the line, and I'm wondering 9 years along the line. So the sanitation problem in the case, solid waste, and everything. I'm sure alcohol, the water, I'm sure they are on track. The community water, on what is happening. So I think I also thank you, the students, for your time. It's almost around this one. Because the topic I think this year we were started with hygiene classes. Hygiene, one talk of water resources, water supply, environmental sanitation, hygiene being key. So when we say hygiene, the mention of personal hygiene, and then we talk of personal hygiene, and then we need some quantity of water to manage personal hygiene, for washing, for bathing, and all that. So access to water is key. Where there is no water or lack of water, personal hygiene is compromised. Access to water is key. Personal hygiene, you mentioned toilet hygiene. When it comes to sanitation, toilet facility, hygienic separation of toilets from human contact, from light to human contact. That's hygiene. It means that you still have to allow the housewife to get access to the toilets. You don't have to have human beings shouldn't, hands shouldn't touch the toilet. So if you manage excreta and the housewife gets in contact with it and to sit on it, we are going to get in contact with the toilet, then it's not hygienic. That benefit is not hygienic. The same thing applies to solid waste. At least you also mentioned solid waste. Hygienic separation of hygienic storage of solid waste. So when you put solid waste there, how should I get access to the solid waste? It's not hygienic, but the house will transmit diseases. See, so you have to look at so when they say hygiene, nobody can wash it. Proper storage of excreta, proper storage of solid waste, they all have hygiene. So the housewives will get access to it to transmit diseases. That is public health. Very clear for the transmission And then if I think we may also mention the water resource protection. So when it's not hygiene, our disease usually get into the water bodies. So this is where our disease gets into water bodies. Water resource protection, then we have to come up with channels. It's a sample of all that. And then also, Madam Afna, also mentioned a lot of challenges in water resources management, integrated water resource management. And I think all the students here in the water resource management, the challenges are there. But this is when I have that in my conversation. Challenges mean that we need to overcome those challenges to get. So some of them, we have the absence of enforcement. This assembly, the local government bylaws, enforcing them is a challenge. And how will we? And then being lack of funds, government must provide that to our business. Our business is impossible, management possible. Then you also mentioned the low public awareness and not aware that we should do every person. Data came up, data collection, water data, water group data, so the data here, we need as students come out with innovations, creativity and innovations, and how we use modern technology for flow measure, river flow measure, or flow measure. Apart from using the propeller, measure velocity, we need to measure the area cross area of the river to get to the flow. I mean, we need to just want to go to Google and Google modern technology to measure flow rates. These are the levels that our time was no technology. You are more technology. You were more technology. So, you can use sensors. You have to ask yourself, can you use sensors and data technology to measure flow rate? To measure what else? And that's the level. You do your research around this, but actually you have a lot of knowledge. Go out there to set up your own movement. I mean, you can be an investor, but you can be a but you can be like CEO company with only your own movement. So that is the challenge with the water resources. How do we help water commission to get data on stream flow measurements, data on the water quality river, data on boreholes, meaning that plenty boreholes are being drilled, both private and government. We have data on the boreholes that they are drilling. But you can team up with someone who has done computer science or computer engineering. Say, team, normally you can't do a computer. You like the data class. So you do like the water resources class. You team up with someone who has done computer science or computer engineering. Come up with innovative database to track all the people the quality, the water and all the information. And you said that there with the organization, that we can do this for you for this fee. I mean, they will support you. And by that, you finish your work. By the time you're like a CEO, manage your own company, you become international. Exactly. So get partners with the requisite knowledge, team up, and you can make it. When you finish and there is no job, when they finish with there is no job, and you're going to eat your parents' food for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, no way. Why you can create a job for yourself. And this is the challenge I'm throwing to you. When it comes to the data measurement, not only water resources, when it comes to water supply, data measurement, water supply in waste management. You still need instrumentation, sensors, and data instruments to be able to measure information. See, I read somewhere that the problem of Africa, developing countries, is data management. We don't have the skills to collect data, analyze data. That's the problem. That's why it's called. If you can collect data and then manage the data and analyze the data to make an informed decision, you realize that we'll be on top of everything. So that is a challenge that is going to do. And how we data management. The ICT, they say that we're able to achieve the sustainable goals. Data management challenge is the key. You're able to address our data management challenge. We're able to do it. Another part of the addressing the SDG is also capacity. You need capacity to mention sanitation, the black capacity, to tell the sanitation child. Ghana, we are growing. About 80% to 50% are using sanitation. About the 80% are using shares and using other forms of sanitation. According to GMP and UNICEF, so, and then in the capacity, I can say that government is also part of it. Then you do 28 workers, government should employ 200, 300 workers, get capital. We are here, so we have a lot about you should absorb maybe 20, they can be here, we produce, we train about 20. You absorb 10 of them every year. They have the knowledge in GIS, more sense in management. GIS more sense. So very you don't, if you need, for example, drainage management, I think, long range, what master plan. When it comes to drainage, you have drainage experts. You have the train a lot of graduate water resource but they don't have lot as the MSCAs are supposed to they are supposed to go capacity when it comes to drainage engineers, so drainage experts who have control plans and manage plans and do master plan to drainage systems. When it comes to water resource commission, they also need similar capacity to be able to do basin, when it comes to river basin management. River basin management, determining the flow, water flows, the water quality, you have to change the maps and all that. When it comes to this, so, but we have four more of you to the sector, and I think it's priority. As a country, we don't prioritize our water resources management, our sanitation management, that is focus. Sanitation, we have over 3,000 experts, environmental experts, and we said that we have also about 1,000 to organize about 3,000 before. When it comes to the technical part, you don't have the only thing you mentioned, the environmental or the public health engineering, and that's the patient, we can't even count. So, when it comes to sanitation, those who can calculate, design, operate, maintain facilities and all that.
Because the lines on this camera is not that good.
He mentioned other technologies. So I'm going to understand the design, the functional and structural aspect of it.
I was going to bring a different 6D. But when I went, the camera is there, right? Someone is taking the lens. But since the group picture will be taken outside, it can take, or you want to take it inside? Inside. At where they are sitting on the stage.
It's 18 to 24 is why you now.
Okay.
If I couldn't change the ice, I couldn't change the ice.
Reclamation of the land or restoration of the land. So we need to bring back the land to the former thing by the normal way.
Okay, then you can take the blue picture.
Oh, yeah.
Great channel, these channels, the river channels, need to bring back the vegetation, bring back the vegetation, bring back topsoil, the vegetation, so that we bring back the relevance to the former state. And the knowledge is there. The knowledge to do is there. What is it that the money they are getting, how are we supposed to go back to restore the land, bring back the restoration, the land back to the that's honest. Put in the former budget, the social arrangements, and I think that those who are doing the water resources should develop your capacity, your ability to be able to go into restoration. Bring back the original state, the original
Okay, well, then go here.
If the government is working and this cooperation needs expertise, and that's where that's get some job, get jobs, so that's about the water resources. The global dimension was global change. The global change is happening. Things are changing. Availability of groundwater, groundwater. You don't need to know how much now is available for us to have and things to the water. Using a lot that we have, and how much are we impacting using data or instruments, using modern sensors, etc. So the water resources, there's a lot that we have. Also, that our research is one way. Then our research is one way. So when you are taking a topic, go into an area that will make you mark it out. So you don't have to just do it to get it topic. Because that will enhance your knowledge because people go out there as a consultant, as a skill, where you have to move from the for community water, I think our CEO said it all. And here, I think I commented on the water quality. I think the 5 areas, water quality, would mean that to address the water quality that you mentioned, high arsenic level, high manganese, high chloride, and all that. We need modern technology to remove the contaminants. This is where nanotechnology, membrane technology is coming into so those who are interested, those who have expectation. Membrane technology, I think, is an area that we need to really look at. So membrane technology can also be used for the mining risk for electricity and all that, or in the industrial sectors. So to address the water competition. And then also the energy and operational efficiency, energy consumption, using solar, solar pumps, solar panels, but it should be possible to research to find out the cost-effective option, which option leads to the lower cost of operation. In operational maintenance, refinement, solar pumps, and all that. So I think this one, we need to set up the demonstration plans and see how this will. Then also optimization of work. Anytime you hear the word optimization, means that your ICT skills, your technical skills are optimized. So we should be able to measure velocities, but the flow of water, in the water distribution system, the pressure to the system, measure leakages to the system, look at the cost of running the system, and another way to come out with an operational regime that will give the minimum cost. Operational routine that will give the minimum cost so that you can have much profit. In this, you also need ICT, subject classes, programming skills. So now programming is coming up strongly. And if you can't do it alone, get somebody, I'll tell you a story. That we got a rough capital. And then we also have, I think, the non-revenue water, and then every some of us do research on revenue. I think for example, that we survive research, we have more revenue water. What we want to see more of going into non-revenue water estimation, how to use the losses. Not using manual means, using what digital means. We have to use ICT. You mentioned macro robots. You need macro robots. Put the robots into the line to go and look for communication. So the robot, you don't have to import the robot. You go to the computer science, computer engineering, you manufacture the robot for you, mechanical engineering, Ghana-based robots, to look for that, to solve that problem. That's it. Not imported robot to solve that problem. Ghana-based robot to solve that problem. There's a time for it. Thinking globally, something acting locally, thinking globally, acting locally and thinking globally. That's the technology. So it means that as much as possible, local content, we should be able to be active in globalization. We can joke to do about 90% of the things ourselves. I was training in the Netherlands, but I did that we have a lot of things on our own. That's something to. And so if Corona has to stay and we shut all, everything, you don't get anything from outside. Let's say you stop importation for 1 year. What are you going to do? If there's no importation for 1 year, don't forward it, no importation for 1 year. Can we survive as a country? No. the ingredients of food, you look at. That's what I'm talking about. All the ingredients into the package should be local, not imported ingredients. If you import drinker to manufacture cement and the quotation is stopped, your people will get your cement for your consumption. Meanwhile, you have a lot of people that have identified local deposit of these materials, mine them and use them for support the economy. But we cut off the road. That's what I mean. And for us to get to that stage, the person you correctly 2 years we are going to have 2 years to come to the program. It makes sure that we cut a lot of things, we cut off the program and make sure we analyze them. And that's why we are giving this capacity, this bridge. So the non-revenue water, I'm looking at a situation where we get a mobile van, zero. A mobile van, they become like sprinter, with all your computer and all your station, everything that you need to do, with the robot, mini robot, everything inside. You move to the community and we start looking for the when you finish, move the farm to another community, another town. You get my point. You have a mobile laboratory. Mobile laboratory for where the applications are, those who are using the water would have been people have students that are using money. So, see, you have to get a mobile laboratory for this money. So, our students every year, we move to the community, the small town, we are there for 3 months. You always say, the man is there, you are there for those who are exactly. So, because at that level, I'm expecting from it that I cannot want to be doing the strategy. I don't know what is happening. So many years. Then you have mobile vans, serious. I always say that the technology is there. You don't have to reinvent it. The technology is there. We need to apply the knowledge in using these technologies to be able to advance certain ground. So that's it. And then the water system automation, the integrated water package plans and all that. That's also it's interesting. Yeah, we need for years. You can call them programmable logic controller. It's a program, it's a computer program or computer language that the machine understands. If you want the machine, you want to create a pump, you want to create a pump, you want to create a digital water meter. So that the digital water meter will send a reading to your computer. You want your pressure, digital pressure meter, digital pressure gauge to send a reading to your computer. So you want your computer, which is a machine, to communicate with the water meter, digital water meter. You want your computer to communicate with the digital pressure gauge. You want your pump, digital pump, your pump to communicate. So you have to program you have to do this program so that communication can happen. There's a new program called HND, Instrumentation to Information Engineering. We realized this about 4 years ago, so we developed an HND. So if you don't start, these guys will come in over decades. HND was Instrumentation and Information Engineering. They're going to learn all these softwares to be able to help the automation of these programs. I think that's and you also don't have to do that. It's important. And then the calibration. Normally, I was at Ghana Water Production Fund. They have a bench, meter bench. You can put 3, 4, 5 meters in series. With one would give you accurate reading. They call it calibration meters. And then you have to set up that kind of bench here so that you're able to also learn how to calibrate meters. Even the digital meters, if they are not working properly, how to be checked whether they are giving error or the non-revenue water. The meter error is also part of it. So what we do is make sure that we have the knowledge to check the accuracy of these meters to make sure everything is working. And then so that's the smart meters are coming out. The smart water meters, the smart water meters, and all that. So the FECA staff, that reform now will allow us to put more of the FECA, those who FECA back into sanitation, and also water resources to manage drainage systems and flooding. And that we need to do a gap. National ability to control the that we then the I think that's all. So on this note, I thank you all participants. I think I've learned a lot, and I'm sure you have also learned a lot. And the idea of this New York forum is to get the understanding of the challenges. What is it that you all the time? We don't want, we want to have as much as possible connect the academic setting to us. What is happening in the real sense? So the knowledge that you are parent, how you apply the knowledge to solve a real life problem. So the challenges are real life problems that you have to overcome.
I think that they
What
are
knowledge, skills, and competence do you need?
I think that they will close. I think that yes.
So your MSc PhD research.
As for the money stock, you have to write. Then go and put it there. Then you wait. Then go and put it there. Then you write. He's saying this to data, and then thank all of you. He said that he enjoys talking. And I think that is during the documentary about
what is it out of this forum? Once again, we thank all of you for these are few announcements. One, we will take a photograph here after we had our closing prayers. Everyone will take our photograph. If you go back and sit down, and then we will send. So, the exception of one is about all of us will stay inside the volunteer. So, we want to volunteer to close us. If there's a Muslim here, that's fine. Since we started with a Christian prayer. Muslim prayer.
concentrate.
Good afternoon, and pray that all that we discuss here, God, Almighty Allah, give us the full knowledge of His, able to practice it to be our future. So, that was what I would pray that so we will continue guiding us and give us full knowledge for our future. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Okay, please move the stage. We'll break the chair down for the